Anti-corruption is one of the cardinal agenda of the Buhari-led administration, while the implementation of the Treasury's single account, biometric verification number and whistleblowing policy gave a boost to the anti-corruption campaign. SADIQ RADDA, Executive Secretary, Presidential Advisory Council on Anti-Corruption and Professor of Sociology at Bayero University, join us virtually to discuss this. Hello, sir. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Yes, it's good to have you join us. One would say that since 2015 till now, very few high-profile convictions were secured, and so we're wondering, would you say that the Nigerian government is winning the war against corruption?
Well, before I go to conviction, I will have to give you a background.
Okay, go ahead.
And the background is that this government came into power to achieve, among other things, three major objectives. One, to revamp the battered economy, to improve security, and to fight corruption. Corruption has been added into the mix because you cannot have a secure country if there is corruption. You cannot have an improved economy if there is corruption. So corruption is the major social problem that has to be addressed if we are to have a secure country and a stable economy. So the government came into power 2015. The Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption under the chairmanship of Professor SADIQ was inaugurated, and we began activities. And I can tell you, from 2015 to date, a lot has been achieved in the fight against corruption. Perhaps the time we have may not allow me give you a detailed information regarding what has been achieved in the fight against corruption, but I can tell you a lot has been achieved. This is not to say that the entire fight against corruption has been successful, and therefore we can say that corruption is over in Nigeria. That's not the case. The case is that although we are not where we want to be, we are not where we were. In the past, there was terrible glorification of corruption in Nigeria. Before the coming of this government, people turned public funds into private funds. Yes, it is happening even today, but I can tell you that people are more careful because, no matter how little something can be done. I can tell you that our anti-corruption agencies, especially EFCC, ICPC, Code of Conduct Bureau, NFIU, are making a lot of progress in the fight against corruption. And if you want to get the details, as time goes by, I can give you some details regarding what they have been doing. As a committee, we have helped execute quite a number of policies that will help in the fight against corruption. So to go to your question, you see, Nigerians are more concerned about high-profile convictions, not minding the fact that in the country we pretend to have a democracy. Therefore, under democracy, you have to do whatever you want to do through what is called the due process. Due process will require you going to the courts, and the courts are part of the problem. Will require you getting the understanding of lawyers. Lawyers are a big problem. The high-profile individuals have a lot of money, and they are fighting the system. So is corruption fighting back? Yes. High-profile convictions have been done. You can remember Jolie Yam is convicted. You can remember Joshua Dare is convicted. You can remember this chap from Kano State has been convicted. So there are a couple of high-profile convictions, but more needs to be done. So I will tell you that convictions are extremely difficult under civilian governments because there are a lot of bottlenecks.
Okay, there's a follow-up to that I would like to, take you on just before we drop the issue of corruption fighting back. It's almost becoming like a cliche now when we say corruption is fighting back and that the judiciary is a problem. Who is supposed to be responsible for that, and who is supposed to make sure that the courts work effectively?
All the courts, because they have, if you take the judiciary, you will divide it into two. You have the bar and the bench. Now, the bar is supposed to be professional and ethical. In other words, the training you got from law school should tell you that this is how you should walk while in the field. Then, as a practicing lawyer, you should be controlled by your professional organization like NBA. But unfortunately, in the case of Nigeria, it is individuals that control the Nigeria Bar Association, not the Bar Association controlling its members. Because lawyers are too powerful in Nigeria, so they muddle up even their own organizations. For you to become the president of the Nigeria Bar Association, you will need nothing less than 1 billion naira. So it's a business. So it's the duty of the individual as a professional. You should be ethical, you should be professional. You don't need anybody to bully you, to harass you, to scare you. I'm an academic staff. I don't need the vice chancellor to tell me to go and teach. I agree to go and teach based on my conscience. Once the time is there for me to go and teach and supervise my students and mark my scripts, I should do it. I don't need anybody to scare me, to bully me, to intimidate me. Okay. But that's not the case with our lawyers.
Okay, now
the same thing with the judges. So the judges, they have what is called the NJCs. The NJC is, it's just an organization that is engaged in esprit de corps. Today in Kano, we have a judge that has been confirmed to be extremely corrupt, and his name is Dino. You can go and check. He has been established to be violating all manner of court processes, but NJC has said that he should be taken back. Why? If it's not NJC, some organization that investigated him said he has not committed any crime. He is good, but every evidence is there. So the courts, the lawyers have to help Nigeria, because whatever you want to do in this country has to be done based on rule of law. And you cannot have rule of law if there is too much corruption, there is too much grandstanding, there is too much high-handedness in bar and bench.
Okay. So, sir,
they have to tidy up their homes first, and they don't have to be. We say judiciary should be independent. So don't tell me that you expect the president to tell them to go and do their jobs.
Okay. Okay. So now there's been quite a number of recoveries over the years. Would you say these recovered assets have been adequately utilized?
Now, of course. Check our budget. I want you to go back to what happened during Obasanjo regime, what was recovered, how it was used, the so-called Abacha loot. Please go back as journalists, go and investigate and tell Nigerians what was recovered, what did they do with it. Then compare that with what we have under this government. We have recovered a lot. Our committee has been part of the process of recoveries, and I can tell you that a lot of the money has been used. You see, if you look at our budget, each year there are line items that are to do with recoveries. For instance, the Abacha loot, Abacha 1, Abacha 2, the money recovered from former governor of Niger Delta, not Niger Delta, Delta State, all these monies are plugged into the budget. The budget has said that once you recover money, these are the things you should do with it. Many of the components of school feeding program, N-Power, have been financed using recovery. So I can tell you that, I won't tell you that it is 100% implemented as expected, no. But I can tell you that the bulk of the money because this is Nigeria, the same people, the same characters, the same corruption. But I can tell you that a lot of the money has been used to the benefit of Nigerians, especially poor and vulnerable Nigerians.
Now, would you say that, part of the reasons why, we are having the judiciary being a challenge like you raised, do you think that there's a problem with our laws or our constitution such that it's taken advantage of, or maybe some lacunas in the laws that are taking advantage of making the fight against corruption more difficult?
No, it's not the law. We have enough laws, we have enough policies, we have enough, resolutions in Nigeria to get us out of the problems we are facing. But it is the human factor. Today, there is this issue of becoming too powerful in an institution. Some people have stayed in an institution so much so that the institution has been turned into private property and estates. And that is a problem. So if you have a situation where people have become extremely powerful, rules do not apply on them, then there is a big problem. So we need a situation where the institutions become stronger than the individuals. But as it is now, we have the laws, we have the rules, we have the regulations, but enforcing them has been taken lackadaisically. There are people who believe the laws should apply to other people, not to them.
So would it be right then? Would it be right then to say that the judiciary is not necessarily keen into the anti-corruption campaign? I said, would it be right then to say that the judiciary is not keen into the anti-corruption campaign of the current administration?
It's not the entire judiciary. We have very good lawyers. We have very good judges. I don't want to be mentioning names here, but there are quite a number of judges that are very, very good. And we have lawyers that are, there are quite a number of lawyers that are not happy with some of their colleagues. So as a committee, we have a list of 1,000 lawyers who say they want to work based on integrity in this country. But there are other lawyers who are just turning the fight against corruption into a business. Just go and check your statistics. You will find that some of these lawyers are only active when high-profile corrupt individuals are arrested. They don't do anything other than to go and protect people who are suspected of corruption because it's a business. So the judiciary is helping, but the problem is, since we say we are a democracy, we have to respect due process, we have to respect the law, much more needs to be done by the bar and bench. Without them, we are not going anywhere. If they cooperate, we can clean up this country in just 6 months, 1 year. But without the judiciary cooperating, being active, but I don't mean part of them, but I mean a substantial part of the bar and bench must help in the fight against corruption. Otherwise, we'll continue to battle, but we'll continue to fight. We'll fight the judges, we'll fight the lawyers that are making the job of fighting corruption very difficult.
Okay, so sir, before we go, now you made mention of a problem with enforcement of these laws. What would you suggest? What would you suggest be put in place?
Can you repeat the question?
Okay, I said you made mention of a problem with the enforcement of these laws. So, what would you suggest that Nigeria does in order to make these laws effective?
You see, in fighting corruption, there are quite a number of variables that you have to take into account. Number one, as an individual, you should search your conscience. As an individual, you are a journalist. There is corruption in journalism. Many of the journalists are corrupt, like many other Nigerians. So search your conscience, search yourself. Am I doing my job the way I am supposed to do it?
Yeah, all right. There are some allegations.
Secondly, please, can I land? I land?
Okay.
Secondly, we should look at the family. Don't expect that if as a parent you have failed in training your children, In fact, you are helping them to cheat in exams, to engage in Yahoo, to steal, to go into armed robbery. Then you are expecting the police, to socialize and make your children better for you. When you have failed as a father, then look at our religious organizations. If the parents can fail, religious organizations have failed us, then why wouldn't the police fail us? But if we have parents, families that are good, religious bodies that are good, schools that are good, neighborhoods that are good, it will make the job of the police, the ICPC, the EFCC, custom, immigration, NFIU, it will make their job easier. But if everybody says, as a father, I don't care. As a teacher, I don't care. As a religious leader, I don't care. This job should be done by the government. I think we are going nowhere. So first, search yourself. Second, the families. Third, the schools. Fourth, religious bodies. 5, the environment.
Okay.
Then that will make it very easy for police to police us. It will make ICPC easily do its job. It will make EFCC easily do its job. Then, as a committee, we have realized that we are only concentrating at the federal level. Everybody is talking of EFCC, ICPC, custom, immigration, the president, the vice president, ministers. What of the governors? What of the state assemblies? What of the commissioners? What of the chairmen? What of the councillors? Close to 50% of national resources go to local governments and the state governments on a monthly basis. So as we are concentrating on the federal government, which is good, please let us concentrate on state governors, local government chairmen, commissioners, state assemblies, etc., etc. Let us also remember we have a national assembly that is independent. We have judiciary that is independent.
Okay.
So fighting corruption will require everybody to look at everything in totality. Concentrating on the executive is good, but the executive alone cannot fight corruption. You have to look at the judiciary, you look at the National Assembly, look at the state governors, look at the local government chairmen, look at the media, look at civil society organizations, look at academics, look at everything, look at our roles in making things difficult for our country, thereby making Nigeria unstable.
Thank you,
okay,
sir.
Prof, what would you say to those who would say, well, I mean, if we are talking about having a holistic view to the fight against corruption, what would you say to those who would accuse the administration of having some kind of loyalist who they feel, should not be prosecuted, and, talking about rule of law as well, that there are court injunctions that have been flouted by the administration, and so it doesn't show commitment to rule of law and even leading by example.
I'm sorry. You see, I want to be taken on by anybody on this. Nigeria has never had it so good to have a president and a vice president that have demonstrated enough political will to fight corruption. We have never had something like this in this country, where you have a president, a vice president that have consistently said the country should fight corruption. He has never missed an opportunity to tell Nigerians that corruption is evil. Tell me one president from independence to date, except perhaps Murtala Muhammad.
But beyond saying it,
like this. Can you listen, please? 1 minute. Secondly, if you are talking of suspicion, everybody can be suspected. So this is a country where there is too much cynicism, too much skepticism. Therefore, everybody will accuse anybody, even if to them their images. I'm not saying that everything is okay, but we are making steady progress. If you are talking of court injunctions, I can tell you that this is a government that has done a lot in respecting court injunctions.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for joining us on the show. We have been discussing corruption fight with Professor SADIQ Issa RADDA. Thank you so much, sir. We hope to have you next time on the show.